This is a conversation with NPR reporters Zoe Chase and Ivan Raiklin on May 15th, 2024.
Okay.
So my Raiklin account is still being censored by the FBI's Brian Otten, Laura Demlow, Joe Pientka, and Elvis Chan.
Well, so you started a new account?
No, that still exists because it was reinstated. Those are the individuals that are at the FBI that run the censorship industrial complex on behalf of this illegitimate regime. Do you know those names?
No.
I can provide you much detail on. They were the ones also involved in the original illegal Crossfire Hurricane spying operation on General Flynn, Carter Page, George Papadopoulos, and Paul Manafort. I have receipts on every single individual. That's why they haven't really come after me yet, because if they bring me in, the entire regime comes crumbling down.
Whoa.
Okay?
Well,
So they are scared of me, not the other way around.
That makes more sense. You, on your Twitter bio, I noticed today it said Secretary of Retribution.
Yep.
I just wondered what that meant.
Yeah, that means that I will guarantee consequences for a list of at least 350 individuals that are on my deep state target list.
Okay.
And when you read that deep state target list, remember, I'm an attorney and a retired Green Beret. Okay?
That I know. Well, that I might be interested in talking with you more about is your deep state target list, if you have time.
Elon Musk has it. Michael Schellenberger has it. Matt Taibbi has it. The Judiciary Committee has it. The Weaponization Committee has it. The Oversight Subcommittee that is part of the House Administration Committee has it. The House Freedom Caucus has it. The Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, likely has it. And it's just a matter of time for a joint press conference to take place between Speaker Johnson and Elon Musk to go ahead and disclose and release the Twitter direct messages of those individuals on my deep state target list, proving the seditious conspiracy going back to 2016, the illegal spying operation on the Trump campaign. You're also going to find the involvement of Mike Pence and his chief of staff, Joshua Pitcock, in that conspiracy, along with Josh Pitcock's wife, Catherine Seaman, who was the senior Russia analyst for Peter Strzok, who was one of the two individuals that was deployed by Jim Comey and Andrew McCabe to get General Flynn to lie or to get him fired, as per Bill Priestap's notes, which was the Deputy Assistant Director of Counterintelligence at the FBI.
That's a long list.
I can go in much more detail, but that's generally the crux of it.
Do you get to meet with Jim Jordan and talk about this stuff?
I meet with everybody.
All these guys?
Every single member that you think I talk to or may talk to, I talk to them.
And what do you guys talk about? Like, what's the reason that you talk to them?
Everything that I put out publicly,
Yeah.
I also provide that to them.
And I guess
I don't do anything behind the scenes, like behind closed doors. Everything is transparent.
What are you hoping to get out of talking to them? Like, why you do it?
I want to guarantee Elon Musk discloses the direct messages for the mother of all Twitter files, so that the entire country can see what just occurred to them, starting from the illegal spying operation, the corrupt DOJ and FBI. The raid on Mar-a-Lago was to seize the evidence that was declassified by Donald Trump in the last few hours of his first term, which involved the Crossfire Hurricane details, which would list all the names that I've mentioned so far. Whether it was Lisa Page, who was Andy McCabe's chief counsel at the time, along with Peter Strzok, a guy by the name of Joseph Pientka III, who is currently the number 3 individual at the San Francisco field office. So you have the special agent in charge, you have a ASAC, assistant special agents in charge, and then you have the ASAC for counterintelligence. That guy is a guy by the name of Joseph Pientka III, who was the second agent that was deployed to interview General Flynn on January 24th, 2017, in order to get General Flynn fired or to get him to lie. That was an entrapment. And that's the same agent that was deployed in August of 2016 to the Trump campaign to do what they call a counterintelligence briefing, a defensive one, but with the secondary purpose in order to, and this was him, Pientka, along with Trump, Chris Christie, You know that Chris Christie's attorney during his Bridgegate scandal was Christopher Wray?
I didn't know that.
Well, now you know. And then the third person in that meeting was a guy by the name of General Flynn. Joe Pientka was deployed by the Crossfire Hurricane leadership, authorized by the General Counsel at the time, Jim Baker, who then later became the Twitter 1.0 number 2 lawyer, to coordinate the censorship industrial complex to cover up and censor and suspend those individuals that exposed their corruption, okay? And it just keeps mounting and mounting and mounting the cover-ups. This is just they're trying to take out Trump now because they were able to take out their first existential threat, which was General Flynn, because he would have been the first one to go ahead and expose this level of corruption because he knows the system. Now that Trump knows the system after being 4 years in it, he is now an existential threat to that very DOJ, the national security apparatus. Remember, 39 individuals unmasked General Flynn, okay? One of them was Jamie Raskin's wife, Sarah Raskin. Totally unlawful unmasking. Look that up.
Okay.
The 51 individuals that said the Biden laptop had all the earmarks of a Russian information campaign, where your colleagues over at Politico published that on their website. One of those 51 individuals is John Brennan. Another one is a guy by the name of David Buckley. David Buckley ended up becoming the staff director for Liz Cheney's and Benny Thompson and Nancy Pelosi's January 6th cover-up committee.
So it's a pretty small world, it sounds like.
So David Buckley was tasked to create a list and do his deep state target list of political targets. So now it's my turn. I have a deep state target list, and I'm coming for all of them. And what does that mean when I say coming for all of them? It means the most legal, moral, and ethical consequences to the maximum, to include the maximum punishment for treason. I personally guarantee that they're going to face those consequences. And you can take a look at that list.
Like, are you going to sue them? Is that what you would do?
Just wait for it.
Okay.
You will see it. It will be so visible for the entire world to see and hear. I'll give you some examples.
Okay.
I'm going to incorporate the precedents that's already been set. So we're going to incorporate what was done to General Flynn. We're going to incorporate what was done to Steve Bannon, what was done to Peter Navarro, what was done to Mike Lindell, what was done to Scott Perry. Translation: expect to see live streamed swatting raids of every single individual on that deep state target list, because the precedence has already been set.
And
remember when Mike Lindell in the Hardee's parking lot, the FBI went and conducted armed robbery of him in Minnesota? Remember when Peter Navarro was swatted in an airport? Remember when Steve Bannon, on multiple occasions within the U.S. Capitol Police jurisdictional zone, conducted swattings and allowed for swattings to take place of Steve Bannon and his residence? Remember the armed robbery and burglary of Roger Stone that was live streamed by your colleagues over at Criminal News Network?
Yeah.
That we're going to take in the collective and do that, okay?
Okay.
It does not matter what happens in the election. It does not matter who wins the election.
Ask.
This is going to take place at the hands of the American people, with or without an election, and with or without whoever wins the election. I guarantee you that that will take place at the county and state level, because right now the federal government is not in a position because of its capture and its corruption. So imagine this. When you take a look at the direct messages and the geotagged location data of the 350 plus members on that deep state target list, and then you curate that, Elon Musk, and then do geotagging of the communications, and then you present those communications to name the county of the 3,143 county and county equivalents in our nation, the 50 states and the 6 federal districts, right?
Okay.
And then you identify where a treasonous communication took place. And then you present that to the local DA, similar to good old Alvin Bragg. That then will create the nexus to showcase this criminal, conspirator, seditious conspiracy and treason charge. And that local DA, the local sheriff, will then be deputizing folks like Ivan Raiklin and those of us that were thrown out of the military because we did not comply with the illegal DNA mutilation injection, the forced DNA mutilation injection.
Do you mean the COVID vaccine?
I'm talking about the CCP-19 lab incident money-making scheme by Pfizer, the Pfizer fail, the Moderna mutilation, or whether it was just a myocarditis-making, heart-exploding J&J jab. So those of us that were either thrown out or left because we would not participate in the DNA mutilation of our own physiological beings, there's 80,000 of us that are ready, willing, and able in order to be deputized by appropriate sheriffs throughout the country to be participants as lawful deputies to conduct live stream swatting raids of every single person that we can identify that conducted the necessary unlawful activity by county on my deep state target list.
2 questions. Where did you get the 80,000 number? My first question.
Yeah. So, 8,600, about 8,500 approximately, were thrown out of the military. Okay.
Because they wouldn't do the vaccine.
Because it wasn't a vaccine. The name of vaccine, the definition changed before the rollout, and it was never approved by the FDA. There was never a product that was approved by the FDA to then be able to coerce and manipulate into other people's bodies. Don't believe me? Look at the footnote on FDA's own quote-unquote approval of Pfizer's Comirnaty. Legally distinct, and the product was never created. The Pfizer BioNTech was created, but that one was never approved. That was only under emergency use authorization.
Right.
So I need to correct you on that one. You need to do some more studying, ma'am, okay? Next, 80,000, okay? As far as the 80,000 goes, that's the minimum that I see of folks that left the military early through retirement, ended their careers early because of the illegal mandate that was promulgated by and enforced by the entire chain of command. Those are also going to be, many of the members on the deep state target list are those military leaders, quote unquote leaders, I call them failures, within the Department of Defense and at the Pentagon that will face similar consequences for forcing and coercing unlawfully the mutilation of another person's body and thus minimizing and destroying our personal readiness
so this
within
is all
the DoD.
2020 people you're talking about?
Come on. Are you going to ask that question in that level of ignorance? 2016, Crossfire Hurricane?
No. I mean,
Hello?
I'm saying the 80,000 that you referenced.
I mean, at this point, you're wasting my time if you don't even have that level of context. Take a couple hundred hours to research the subject, follow my work on Rumble. Once you see that, I want you to identify one thing that I have incorrect, and then you can start coming after me with questions to scrutinize it, because you have not done the necessary requisite research to for me to even give you my time. So I think that's about it.
Can I ask one last question? You don't have to
It
answer.
better be intelligent.
Well, I don't guess that'll be in the eye of the beholder. You don't think, you were saying it doesn't matter what happens in the election. So you don't think you need sort of the protection of Trump's Justice Department to do some of what you're talking about?
No, because we're going after the Justice Department.
But like,
They are the enemy. That's what you fail to understand. The individuals that I mentioned are the enemy of our constitutional order. We're coming for them, maximally. And how we're coming for them is because we are engaging with counties and states in order to crush them.
like via the sheriffs, basically.
What do you think Alvin Bragg's doing right now? Is that a federal officer? Exactly my point. Look at the counties in this country that are red versus blue. It is overwhelmingly red. So Alvin Bragg and the Dems are setting our precedent as we go on offense.
Okay. Well, thanks, Ivan.
It's going to be a doozy. And I love it when it gets spicy. And there are, again,
I believe you.
out of the 80,000 of us, we are clamoring to be deputized by sheriffs nationwide in order to conduct the necessary live stream raids, if they want to push us to that.
So if I did want to follow up with you,
and I'll say lastly,
yeah,
there are over 1 million service members. I'm gonna say this. Like you said, Secretary of Retribution. The Secretary of Retribution consists of 3 divisions. Number 1, the research arm. And should there be a mechanism where we create it, it's going to be the first division. Is, again, everything I'm telling you, I've already said it publicly, and I have many podcasts where I've said this.
Yeah.
So number 1, we're going to have a research arm to continue to develop our targets. Okay.
Okay.
Number 2, and that's going to be staffed by January 6th defendants, family members, as well as their lawyers, since they have already kind of conducted some of that research. So they're already kind of interned, if you will, over the last 3.5 years. Number 2 will be the 2nd division, which will include the action arm, the 80,000 of us that have decades of conducting this type of activity of actioning targets overseas, right? And the 3rd arm is going to consist of those that will live stream, right? Independent media, obviously not your organization, won't be included in that. But they will ride along. They will ride along and live stream the swattings and raids of the 2nd division that I just mentioned, that are properly and appropriately deputized to conduct those raids. And then the 1st arm is obviously going to be the ones that create those lists. We're just using the playbook and the precedent that has already been developed to target those that conducted lawful First Amendment activity on January 6th and everything downstream from that.
So if you say you don't need, you're not waiting for Trump's election, like when are you planning to do it?
Stand by. So just keep an eye on things.
Okay. So how could I follow up with you?
So you can follow everything I do online. Everything's public.
But like, if
and
I wanted to ask you a
again,
question.
I advocate for these people are going to experience the most peaceful and patriotic, lawful, moral, and ethical experience of their life.
The swatting and the raiding sounds scarier than lawful and ethical and peaceful.
It's legal, moral, ethical. I said it was peaceful and patriotic. It may not be peaceful for them, but for me it'll be peaceful.
Don't forget to subscribe and click the notification bell for more must-see videos.